The contract landed on Elena Corleone's desk at 11:47 p.m. with the weight of a prison sentence. 3 pages, black ink. Her boss's signature already scrawled at the bottom in that aggressive slash she'd learned to recognize in the dark. She didn't need to read past the first line to feel her stomach drop. Pursuant to the terms of this romantic partnership agreement. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're somewhere cozy right now because this story is about to take you on a wild ride. Drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. Are you team fake it till you make it or team run for the hills? And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button because trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Elena's hands trembled as she lifted the pages. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows of the executive suite, Manhattan glittered like broken promises, 43 stories of steel and ambition between her and solid ground. Inside, the air conditioning hummed a mechanical lullaby that did nothing to calm the thunder in her chest. You'll read it, won't you? His voice cut through the silence like expensive whiskey, smooth, dark, and utterly intoxicating. Damien Draper stood by the window, his reflection ghost-like against the city lights. Even in silhouette, he commanded the room. 6'3" of calculated power wrapped in a Tom Ford suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. His dark hair was slightly disheveled now, the only crack in his otherwise impenetrable armor after 14 hours of hostile negotiations. She'd been his personal assistant for 2 years, 3 months, and 16 days. Not that she was counting, not that every single one of those days had been a masterclass in keeping her heart locked behind professional courtesy while watching him destroy competitors and build empires with the same cold efficiency. Mr. Draper, it's almost midnight. It's Damien when we're alone, Elena. You know that. He turned, and the city lights caught the sharp angles of his face. 36 years old and already a legend in corporate America. Ruthless, brilliant, completely, devastatingly untouchable, until now. The Henderson merger depends on it, he continued, his tone matter-of-fact, as if he hadn't just asked her to become his fake girlfriend. Gerald Henderson is old-fashioned. He won't do business with a man he can't trust, and apparently my reputation as a— He paused, a sardonic smile twisting his lips. Cold-hearted bastard with no human connections is proving problematic. Elena's fingers left damp prints on the contract. So, you want me to pretend to be in love with you? I want you to help me close a $2.3 billion deal. He moved closer, and she caught his scent, cedarwood and ambition. 6 months, Elena. Public appearances, a few carefully orchestrated photos, one company retreat where the Hendersons will see us together. That's all? That's all? Her laugh came out sharp. You're asking me to lie to everyone, to fake something that— She stopped herself, swallowing the words that could never be unsaid. His eyes narrowed, that terrifying intelligence focusing on her like a laser. That what? The question hung between them like a dare. Because here was the truth she'd buried for 2 years. She didn't need to fake anything. Every smile, every touch, every loving glance they'd have to manufacture for the cameras, it would all be devastatingly, humiliatingly real for her. She'd been half in love with Damien Draper since the first day he'd handed her an impossible task, and trusted her to make the impossible happen. And she'd done it. Every single time. 6 months, she whispered, her voice barely audible over the city's distant sirens. And then what? Then we mutually decide we're better as colleagues. Clean break, professional. You'll receive a bonus of $500,000, and I'll write you a recommendation that will get you any position you want. Anywhere in the world. $500,000. She could pay off her mother's medical bills, her brother's student loans, finally stop living paycheck to paycheck in a city that devoured dreams for breakfast. But the cost. What if someone finds out? She asked, already knowing her answer, already feeling the pen in her hand like it had gravity of its own. Damien's expression shifted, something dangerous and almost vulnerable flashing across his features before the mask slammed back down. No one will find out. I've had my legal team ensure complete discretion. This conversation never happened, Elena. This contract doesn't exist. As far as anyone knows. He stepped closer, close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes, close enough to make her forget how to breathe. We fell in love the way people actually fall in love. Slowly, inevitably. Until we couldn't remember what it felt like before. The worst part? He made it sound almost real. What Elena didn't know, what she couldn't possibly know as she lifted that pen, was that across town, in a private investigator's office, someone was already taking photos. Photos of them in this office, together, alone, at midnight. And the person who'd hired the investigator had far more than business on their mind. Elena signed the contract at 11:52 p.m., and by 11:53, her life as she knew it was over. The next morning, Damien's driver picked her up at 6 a.m., not from her cramped studio in Queens, but from a luxury apartment in Tribeca that had been prepared for her overnight. Her clothes had been moved, her toiletries arranged in a bathroom bigger than her old bedroom, and a new wardrobe hung in the closet with tags still attached. Valentino, Chanel, Louboutin. He doesn't do anything halfway, she muttered, running her fingers over a silk dress that cost more than her car. At the office, everything changed, and nothing changed. She still brought him coffee at 7:15 a.m., black, no sugar, exactly 185 degrees. Still organized his meetings with military precision, still answered his calls with the same professional courtesy. But now, when she leaned over his desk to show him a presentation, his hand would rest briefly on her lower back. When they walked to the conference room, his fingers would brush hers. Small touches, calculated, devastating. "You're a natural," he murmured during a board meeting, his breath warm against her ear as he pretended to whisper something about the quarterly reports. She wasn't. Every touch felt like fire. Every staged smile hid the real one, threatening to break through. By day 3, the office was buzzing. Jennifer from accounting had always suspected something. Marcus from legal claimed he'd seen the way they looked at each other. The intern who'd had a crush on Damien for 6 months quit without explanation. But it was Rachel Chen, Damien's ex-fiancée and current VP of Operations, who made Elena's blood run cold. She cornered Elena in the women's restroom on Friday afternoon, her designer heels clicking against marble like a countdown. "How much is he paying you?" Rachel's reflection appeared beside Elena's in the mirror. Beautiful, sharp, and dangerous. They'd been engaged 3 years ago, until Damien called it off 2 weeks before the wedding. No explanation, no emotion, just done. Elena kept washing her hands. "I don't know what you mean. Please." Rachel's laugh was acid. "I was with Damien for 4 years. He doesn't fall in love, Elena. He acquires, he strategizes, he wins." She leaned closer, her perfume cloying. "Whatever he's promised you, whatever you think this is, it's not real. And when he's done using you, you'll understand why I'm the only woman who ever walked away with her heart intact. Because you never gave it to him in the first place," Elena said quietly, surprising herself. Rachel's eyes flashed. "No, because I learned the truth before it was too late. She moved toward the door, then paused. The Henderson deal. That's what this is about, isn't it? Gerald Henderson and his family values obsession. She smiled, cold and knowing. Good luck. You're going to need it. Gerald's wife, Victoria, is a human lie detector. She'll see through this charade in seconds. The door swung shut, leaving Elena alone with her reflection and a truth she'd been trying to ignore. She wasn't acting anymore. Somewhere between the staged coffee runs and the fabricated smiles, between Damien's hand on her back and his rare, genuine laugh at something she'd said, the line between performance and reality had blurred. And the most terrifying part? Sometimes when he looked at her, really looked at her, when he thought she wasn't paying attention, she could swear she saw something real flickering in those dark eyes, something that looked almost like fear. The Henderson family dinner was supposed to be simple reconnaissance. Smile, hold hands, survive 3 hours of small talk at a 5-star restaurant. Elena wore the emerald dress Damien had chosen. "It matches your eyes," he'd said absently, then looked away too quickly. His hand was warm against her back as they entered Le Bernardin, and she told herself the tremor in her fingers was just nerves. Gerald Henderson was exactly as advertised, silver-haired, sharp-eyed, with the kind of smile that calculated your net worth before you finished shaking his hand. But his wife Victoria was something else entirely. 60-something, elegant, with eyes that seemed to peel back layers of pretense like tissue paper. "So," Victoria said, 45 minutes into dinner, setting down her wine glass with surgical precision. "How did you two really meet?" Elena's rehearsed answer died in her throat. There was something in Victoria's tone, a trap disguised as curiosity. Damien's hand found Elena's under the table, squeezing once. Their signal. "Let me handle this." But Elena spoke first. "He was impossible." Silence crashed over the table. "I'm sorry?" Victoria leaned forward, intrigued. "My first day as his assistant, he gave me 63 tasks before 9 a.m. Told me if I couldn't handle it, there were 50 other candidates waiting." Elena felt Damien's fingers tighten in warning, but she continued, surprised by her own honesty. "I finished by 8:47. Then I reorganized his entire filing system and corrected 3 errors in his presentation to the board. And I almost fired her for insubordination," Damien added, his voice carrying an emotion Elena couldn't quite identify. "But you didn't," Elena said, turning to look at him. God, when had his face gotten so close? "No." His eyes held hers. "I didn't." The moment stretched, fragile and dangerous. Around them the restaurant blurred. For 3 heartbeats, Elena forgot they were acting. "That's when you fell in love." Victoria's words weren't a question. "That's when everything changed," Damien said softly, still looking at Elena. Gerald cleared his throat. "Well, that's quite—" His phone buzzed, then Damien's, then Elena's. All 3 lit up simultaneously with the same news alert. Damien's face went white as he read the screen. "Breaking. Draper Industries. CEO Damien Draper. Named in federal investigation for insider trading. Anonymous source. Claims evidence of illegal activity dating back 5 years. "That's impossible," Damien breathed. "I've never—" "The source claims to have documentation," Gerald said, his voice suddenly ice-cold. "Communications. Transactions." He stood, napkin falling to his plate like a surrender flag. "I'm sorry, Mr. Draper, but until this is resolved, Henderson Corp. cannot be associated with—" "Gerald, please." Damien's composure cracked. "Someone is setting me up." "Perhaps." Victoria rose, sympathy and steel in equal measure. "But in our world, perception is reality." They left Elena and Damien sitting in the wreckage of their carefully constructed lie, with a very real disaster exploding around them. And somewhere across the restaurant, a woman in a red dress lowered her phone and smiled. Rachel Chen's plan was working perfectly. The next 72 hours were war. Damien's legal team worked around the clock while media vultures circled. Every news outlet ran the same headline: Billionaire CEO's empire crumbles. The stock price dropped 18%. 3 board members called for his resignation. And Elena? She stopped pretending. "You should go home," Damien said at 2 a.m. on the second night. They were in his office, surrounded by documents, searching for the source of the fabricated evidence. His tie was gone, his shirt sleeves rolled up, exhaustion carved into every line of his face. "No." Elena handed him coffee, his 4th cup since midnight. "We're in this together." "This isn't part of the contract, Elena. You've already done enough." "Stop." She grabbed his wrist, forcing him to look at her. "Just stop. This isn't about the contract anymore, and you know it." Something raw flickered across his face. "Don't." "Don't what? Tell you the truth?" Her voice cracked. "Someone is destroying you, Damien, and I'm not going anywhere until we find out who." His jaw tightened. For a moment she thought he might actually be honest with her. Instead he pulled away, retreating behind the walls she'd watched him build higher every day since the scandal broke. By day 4, they had a lead. The anonymous source had used an encrypted email service, but Damien's IT specialist traced the IP address to a coffee shop in Brooklyn. Security footage showed someone accessing the account. Rachel Chen. "Why?" Elena breathed, staring at the grainy image. Damien's expression turned to stone. "Because I broke her heart 3 years ago, and she's been waiting for the perfect moment to break me." But there was something he wasn't saying. Elena could feel it in the space between his words, see it in how he wouldn't quite meet her eyes. That night, against all protocol, Elena went to Rachel's penthouse, alone. Brave or stupid, Rachel opened the door in silk pajamas, wineglass in hand, utterly unsurprised. "Why the insider trading allegations?" Elena demanded. "You could destroy innocent people. The company employs 3,000. I don't care about them." Rachel's smile was poison. "I care about him suffering the way I suffered." She stepped closer. "Did he tell you why he really called off our wedding?" "No?" Her laugh was bitter. "Of course not. Damien Draper doesn't do vulnerability." "Then tell me." "He got scared." Rachel's composure cracked, just slightly. "We were 6 months into wedding planning when his father died. Suddenly, Damien realized love meant loss. So he chose power instead, pushed me away, became the cold-hearted CEO everyone fears." She drained her wine. "I'm not the villain here, Elena. I'm what happens when you love a man incapable of loving you back." Elena's heart hammered. "You're wrong about him." "Am I?" Rachel's eyes glittered. "Then why hasn't he told you he's falling for you?" "Oh, yes, I see it. Everyone sees it. Everyone except the man too terrified to admit it." The words detonated like grenades. Because deep down, Elena had wondered the same thing. Elena returned to the office at midnight to find Damien standing at his window, the city lights painting shadows across his face. "I know you went to see Rachel," he said without turning around. "She told me about your father, about why you ended the engagement." Elena's voice was steady despite her racing heart. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because it's not relevant to our arrangement." "Arrangement?" The word tasted like ash. "Is that still what this is to you?" He finally turned, and the look in his eyes stopped her breath. Raw, desperate, terrified. "Elena, don't..." Don't what? Don't fall in love with you? She laughed, the sound breaking. Too late. About 2 years too late, actually. The confession hung between them like a live wire. Damien crossed the room in 3 strides, his hands framing her face with a gentleness that contradicted everything she thought she knew about him. You can't. I don't know how to be what you need. I need you to be honest. Her hands covered his. Just once. Be real with me. His forehead dropped to hers, his breath ragged. The truth? I've been in love with you since you corrected my presentation to the board on your first day. You stood in my office, terrified and defiant, and I thought— His voice cracked. I thought if I let myself want you, I'd lose you, like I lost my father, like I lose everyone who matters. So you hired me to fake a relationship instead? Tears burned her eyes. That was your solution? I told myself it was about the Henderson deal, that I just needed you close for 6 months, and then I'd let you go. His thumb brushed her cheek. But God, Elena, every staged touch, every fabricated smile, it was torture. Because none of it was fake for me, not a single moment. She kissed him then, or maybe he kissed her. It didn't matter. What mattered was the way he surrendered, the walls finally crumbling as his arms wrapped around her like he was afraid she'd disappear. When they broke apart, both breathless, Elena whispered, "We'll fight Rachel together. We'll save your company together. We'll—" Damien's phone lit up with a message from his head of security. They read it together. Once. Twice. The words refusing to make sense. Security breach. Rachel Chen wasn't working alone. Second party accessed confidential files. Cross-referencing databases now. Preliminary ID, Gerald Henderson. No, Elena breathed. Gerald Henderson is the one funding the investigation against you? Damien's face went white. He's not trying to avoid scandal. He's trying to destroy me so he can buy Draper Industries at bankruptcy prices. The merger was never real. And Rachel? Was a useful distraction. His jaw clenched. While we focused on her, Henderson positioned himself to take everything. Elena's mind raced. The dinner. When Victoria said perception is reality, she knew. They both knew the allegations were coming because they planted them. Which means, Damien said slowly, dangerously, we have approximately 48 hours before the board votes to remove me and Henderson makes his move. He looked at Elena, and something deadly and determined replaced the vulnerability in his eyes. Time to stop playing defense. The board meeting was a massacre. Mr. Draper, these allegations are destroying shareholder confidence, said Thomas Wright, the oldest board member, his voice cold. We have a fiduciary responsibility to let vultures pick apart this company? Damien's voice was steel. Henderson is manipulating you, all of you. Do you have proof? Another board member, Sarah Kim, looked almost apologetic. Damien's silence was answer enough. The vote was 8-4. Effective immediately, Damien Draper was suspended as CEO pending investigation. Gerald Henderson's acquisition offer would be considered at next week's emergency session. Elena watched Damien's face remain perfectly blank as his empire dissolved. Only she saw the muscle jumping in his jaw, the white-knuckle grip on his briefcase. They made it to the parking garage before he shattered. 20 years, his voice echoed off concrete. I built this company from nothing, sacrificed everything, and in 72 hours, it's gone. We still have time. Time? He laughed, the sound hollow. Henderson covered his tracks perfectly. Rachel's taking the fall, but she's already lawyered up. Without proof of Henderson's involvement, the board will approve the sale. He turned to her, eyes dark with something Elena had never seen before: defeat. You should distance yourself, publicly, before this destroys you, too. I'm not leaving you. Elena, listen to me. He gripped her shoulders. When this is over, when Henderson owns Draper Industries, he'll dismantle everything, including anyone associated with me. Your career, your reputation? I don't care. Well, I do. The words ripped from him. Don't you understand? This is exactly what I was afraid of, letting you close and then watching you get hurt because of me. Before Elena could respond, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Back off, or everyone learns the relationship was fake, including the SEC. Fraud charges, Ms. Corleone. Think carefully. V.H. Victoria Henderson. Elena's hands shook as she showed Damien the message. They know, she whispered, about the contract, about everything. Damien's face went gray. If they expose the fake relationship, the SEC will investigate. You could face jail time for fraud, and any evidence we try to present against Henderson becomes inadmissible because our credibility is destroyed. It's checkmate, Elena said numbly. No. Damien's voice turned fierce. No, I won't let them hurt you. I'll call Henderson right now. Tell him he can have the company. Everything. As long as he leaves you alone. Damien, I love you more than I love this company. His hands cupped her face. I should have said it sooner. I should have been brave enough to choose you from the start. But I'm choosing you now. Tears spilled down Elena's cheeks. You can't just give up. I'm not giving up. I'm protecting what actually matters. He kissed her forehead, gentle and final. Go home, Elena. Pack your things. Tomorrow, I'm ending this. All of it. He walked away, and Elena stood in the parking garage, watching the only man she'd ever loved prepare to sacrifice everything for her. Elena didn't go home. Instead, she sat in her car for 3 hours, Victoria Henderson's threat burning in her mind, until something clicked. A memory. A detail everyone had overlooked. At 3 a.m., she called Damien. The dinner? At Le Bernardin. Do you remember what Victoria said when the news broke? His voice was exhausted. Elena, it's over. She said, the source claims to have documentation, past tense, before anyone else saw the alert. Elena's hands trembled with adrenaline. Damien, she knew the exact wording of the allegations before they went public. She made a mistake. Silence. Then, Le Bernardin has security cameras. Everywhere, including the private dining rooms. For the first time in days, hope cracked through his voice. If we can get that footage, prove Victoria knew about the allegations beforehand, it proves conspiracy. It unravels everything. Elena started her car. I'm calling my brother. He works in digital forensics for the NYPD. If anyone can retrieve and authenticate that footage... Elena. Damien's voice softened. Why are you doing this? After everything I've put you through, you could walk away right now. Because you're not the only one who gets to make sacrifices. She smiled through tears. And because fake or not, that contract was the best thing that ever happened to me. It gave me you. 6 hours later, Elena's brother Marcus delivered. The security footage was crystal clear. Victoria Henderson, 20 minutes before dinner in the restaurant's alcove, on her phone. Audio enhancement caught fragments. Allegations go live at 8:47 p.m. Insider trading documentation. Make sure Draper sees it during dinner. Premeditation, conspiracy, fraud. But they needed more. They needed Rachel. Elena found her at the coffee shop where she'd sent the original emails. They're going to let you take the fall, Elena said, sliding into the booth across from her. Henderson promised you revenge, but you're the only one facing criminal charges while he walks away with $1 billion company." Rachel's composed mask cracked. "He said he'd protect me. He lied." Elena pushed a folder across the table. "These are the charges you're facing. 20 years minimum, unless you cooperate." "Why should I trust you?" "Because unlike them, I'm not asking you to destroy someone you loved." Elena's voice gentled. "Rachel, I know Damien hurt you. But Gerald Henderson used that pain to turn you into a weapon. Don't let him win." Rachel's hands shook as she opened the folder. When she looked up, tears streaked her perfect makeup. "I have emails from Henderson, instructions, wire transfers, everything." Her laugh was broken. "I kept them as insurance in case he ever turned on me. Guess I was right to be paranoid. Will you testify?" Rachel looked at Elena for a long moment. "Does he love you? Really love you?" "Yes." "Then he's finally healed." Rachel smiled sadly. "Good. Someone should get their happy ending." She pulled out her phone. "I'll send you everything. But Elena, tell Damien I'm sorry. For all of it." By dawn, they had everything they needed. The war wasn't over, but finally, they had weapons. The emergency board meeting was scheduled for 9 a.m. At 8:45, Damien Draper walked into the conference room with Elena at his side and a flash drive in his hand. Gerald Henderson's smile was pure victory. "Mr. Draper, I'm afraid you're no longer authorized." "Sit down, Gerald." Damien's voice could have cut glass. "All of you. What I'm about to show you changes everything." He plugged the drive into the projector. The room went dark. First came the Le Bernardin footage. Victoria Henderson's voice, clear and damning. "Allegations go live at 8:47 p.m. Gerald's face drained of color. Then Rachel Chen's emails. Dozens of them. Henderson instructing her exactly how to fabricate evidence, which accounts to use, how much money to transfer to make the paper trail look legitimate. "You orchestrated everything," Damien said quietly. "The insider trading allegations, the media storm, the board panic. All to devalue my company so you could buy it for pennies on the dollar." "This is absurd." Gerald stood. "Sit down." Thomas Wright's voice boomed. "Let him finish." The final piece: wire transfers from Henderson Corp. to Rachel Chen. $300,000, paid in installments, each one time-stamped before a major leak to the press. "You didn't want a merger, Gerald. You wanted a hostile takeover disguised as rescue." Damien's eyes were cold fire. "And you were willing to destroy innocent people to get it." The room erupted, board members shouting, legal counsel on phones, Gerald Henderson backing toward the door. "I have attorneys." "So do I." A new voice cut through the chaos. Rachel Chen stood in the doorway, flanked by 2 federal agents. She looked directly at Damien. "I've already given my full testimony to the SEC and the FBI. Wire fraud, market manipulation, conspiracy." Her gaze shifted to Henderson. "You used me, but I won't go down alone." "Take him," one agent said. They arrested Gerald Henderson in front of the entire board. His protests echoed down the hallway as they led him away in handcuffs. Victoria Henderson appeared moments later, her composed elegance finally cracking. "You've destroyed us," she hissed at Elena. "No." Elena stepped forward. "You destroyed yourselves the moment you decided ambition mattered more than integrity." The board voted unanimously. Damien Draper was reinstated as CEO, effective immediately. All allegations cleared, stock price already recovering, but Damien barely heard the congratulations. He pulled Elena into the empty hallway, away from the chaos, and kissed her like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. You saved me, he breathed against her lips. We saved each other. The contract, void, Elena smiled. So if you want me to stay, Damien Draper, you're going to have to ask me for real this time. No paperwork, no fake arrangements. He dropped to one knee right there in the corporate hallway, and Elena's heart stopped. Elena Corleone, I'm terrified of losing you. I'll probably mess this up 100 times, but I love you more than I've ever loved anything. His voice cracked. Will you take a chance on a reformed, cold-hearted CEO? She pulled him up and kissed him. Yes. 6 months later, Elena stood in the same office where this had all begun, but everything was different. The contract, that infamous 3-page document, was framed on the wall now, a reminder. Not of deception, but of the messy, complicated way two broken people had found each other. Still can't believe you kept that thing, Damien said, wrapping his arms around her from behind. Elena leaned into him, smiling at their reflection in the window. The city glittered below, no longer feeling like broken promises, but infinite possibility. It's proof that sometimes the wrong reasons lead to the right person. Draper Industries had recovered spectacularly. The Henderson scandal had actually improved their reputation, a company that valued truth over profit. Stock prices hit record highs. 3 new major partnerships formed. And Rachel Chen? She'd received immunity for her testimony. Last Elena heard, she'd left New York entirely, opened a small bookstore in Portland, found peace away from corporate warfare. You know what today is? Damien turned Elena to face him. Thursday? The day our fake relationship was supposed to end. He pulled a small velvet box from his pocket, and Elena's breath caught. I figured we should make it official, the real version. The ring was perfect, emerald like the dress from that first dinner, like her eyes. Damien Draper, are you proposing? Again? 3rd time's the charm. His smile was crooked, vulnerable, everything she loved about him. First was in a hallway during corporate chaos. Second was last month at your mother's hospital when she woke up from surgery and demanded to know my intentions. Elena laughed through happy tears. She's terrifying. She's perfect, like her daughter. He slipped the ring on her finger. So, what do you say, Ms. Corleone? Want to make an honest man out of me? Yes. Always yes. They kissed as the sun set over Manhattan, painting the sky in golds and roses. A knock interrupted them. Thomas Wright poked his head in, grinning. Sorry to interrupt the lovebirds, but the whole office is waiting. We may have planned a small celebration. Small? Elena raised an eyebrow. 300 people, champagne fountain, and a banner that says, Best fake relationship ever. Damien groaned. I'm never living that down, am I? Never, Elena and Thomas said in unison. As they walked toward the celebration, hand in hand, Elena thought about how far they'd come. From a desperate business arrangement to something real, something worth fighting for. Hey, Damien stopped her before they entered the crowded conference room. Thank you for seeing past the cold-hearted CEO, for believing I could be more. You were always more. Elena touched his face. You just needed someone brave enough to call your bluff, and stubborn enough to reorganize my filing system. That too. They entered together, greeted by cheers and celebration. And as Damien pulled Elena close, dancing badly to music someone had queued up, she realized something. Sometimes the best love stories start with a lie that becomes truth, a contract that becomes a promise, a fake relationship that becomes the most real thing either of them had ever known. And sometimes the cold-hearted CEO just needs the right person to thaw his heart.